Let me get back to what Mike was talking about, though. Let's address the issue at hand, which he mentioned is Ozzy and his limitations. Here's what I'll say. I cannot speak for what Mike was saying about the call and his accusation that there was electronic supplementation at the recent Ozzy show that he saw. But let's look at history. We know there have been various supplementations to Ozzy's vocals over the decades. On this very radio show less than a year ago, I had a singer on by the name of Robert Mason, who is the current lead singer in Warrant and a tremendous singer, talk about openly his tour where he sang behind a curtain on a live mic, doubling all of Ozzy's vocals and covering his vocals. Now, that was probably 15 years ago. And you look at a guy like Ozzy, who we talked about this the other day, did his No More Tours farewell tour in 1992. I think the whole Ozzy Prince of Darkness thing went down the shitter with the Osbourne show. If you did not watch, the Osbournes was great when it initially came on, in the sense that it completely pulled the curtain back on Ozzy. In a good way and a bad way. And completely showed what everybody's always known, who runs the show there. So none of this should be any secret. This is a guy that was saying he was done 25 years ago. And as our caller rightly just pointed out, has just announced more shows. So it's been clear for a long time that whatever it takes to prop him up and get him out there in some way, shape, or form is going to continue. If you decide to buy it and go, that's on you. But it shouldn't be a surprise anymore. And at his age, he's going to have good days, he's going to have bad days. But if he's running to a track, then that's just ridiculous. And I cannot say what our caller said because I did not hear it for myself. So I don't know. I am not saying that's the case. But what I am saying, and what is the case, is that I've actually had a human being on this show who openly talked about being a guy that was singing with him behind a curtain off stage on a tour 15 years ago. So there will be issues. When to say when is very hard for some of these guys and their managers. And that is a problem. I say all the time, I would much rather have bands that I love end respectfully than stay too long at the party. But there's that big carrot out there of big offers, and we've talked about this a million times. These promoters want to plaster that logo on their ad mat. They're not asking too many questions. You think a promoter could care less about whether an artist is using tracks or not? Most of them couldn't care less if the people can still perform well or not. Does the logo on the ad mat help sell tickets? Fine. And most of the people, when they leave the show, never really look at it all that closely. So it's you see all sides of this. It happens a lot. And as I have the line that I use and have been using for a long time, you as fans vote with your wallet. Meaning if you buy a ticket or you buy an album, you're doing it because you're okay with what's going on. And if you don't, then it's going to change. So it's not just Ozzy, it's anybody that is having these problems. But Ozzy has had a long history of it. And again, you mentioned he did more shows. Now, when I saw Ozzy, which was at a festival in Kentucky a month ago, Loud in Life, I mentioned this. I went out and watched in the crowd. 2-3 songs in, his voice was gone. Gone. I felt bad for him. But what I noticed, I didn't notice a track, although, they have an offstage keyboard player. Or he may even come on stage now, I don't know. But what I did notice was that Zakk Wylde was singing on mic with Ozzy almost the entire time that I watched. And Zakk can sing like that. Zakk has a Sabbath tribute band. So I think there's no argument that Zach is back in this band too, because he's helping greatly on vocals. So I don't know if our caller was looking closely to watch that Zach was up on the mic a lot more than he normally is. But that was definitely happening in the show that I saw. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then again, how much other stuff are you hearing? I don't know. When to say when is a huge problem for some artists for a variety of reasons. They can't give up the attention. They can't walk away from the spotlight. They can't resist the offers for money. They have a dominating manager, in the case of Ozzy, manager/wife, who insists that or wants to keep, the train running. It's you see it all the time across the board with a lot of acts. And if people keep going and the offers keep coming in and money is on the table to be made, it will not stop unless people don't go anymore. And I've seen Ozzy have some good shows too. But these days, you're probably, they're going to have a lot of safety catches in place for live shows because of his issues. I mean, I'll never forget, years ago, I was at a Ozfest in New Jersey, and I was backstage, and they were going to, they were sending doctors into his room and shots of steroids or whatever just to get his, because he was having vocal issues. I mean, you feel bad for the guy. There's nothing worse than singers who can't sing anymore and keep trying to do it because it's a physical thing. It's out of their control if they can't do it anymore. If you lose your chops playing guitar, well, you just brush up, you practice a little bit. But if you're a singer, I mean, it's got to weigh on you. And yeah, there's exercises you can do and training you can take. I was just talking to somebody very close to Bon Jovi recently. John had tremendous battles with vocal problems over the years, to the point that he had a vocal coach on the road with him every single time, warming him up and whatever. It's a big problem unless you just have one of those bulletproof crazy voices where you can just go out and do it. I mean, there are those people. Ronnie James Dio was one. Sammy Hagar is still one. Steven Tyler, although he wants a bunch of days off between gigs, when he's on, he can still do it. There's a few when they get up there, but there's many more that the opposite is true. Hey, one other thing I want to hit you with. Yeah. Dee Snider's supposed to be coming soon, but for people that don't know, another little part of Robert Mason's history that's really interesting is Robert Mason...
I paint, I sculpt, I write poetry.
Robert Mason was on tour with Ozzy Osbourne.
The one and only. As
a backing man behind the curtain singer.
Yes.
The Osmosis tour?
That even now gets laughs out in your audience here.
There is somebody chuckled at it. I don't know why that's funny, because I think it's much better. I've said this many times.
Ma'am, stop laughing.
If you need help live, whether it's backing vocal, lead vocal, whatever, I think it's much better to have a human being doing it than what so many bands today, which is running tracks and machines and loops and all that sort of stuff and fake recordings. So talk about that experience. That was Joe Holmes, the guitar player on that show?
Yes, it was the Osmosis record that Zach had recorded, and then it was Dean Castronova on drums on the record. And Dean had started the tour, but Joe Holmes was hired to be the guitar player. So when I got on okay, I'll tell the story.
Joe Holmes is a beast of a guitar player. God. Super underrated in the history of Ozzy because he didn't do a studio record.
Sweetheart of a guy and a weapon on guitar. You're right. And my Starbucks buddy every morning, just like Trujillo, when Trujillo got the band, was like my go-to find a boxing gym or something to go work out.
Yeah.
So Oz, to his credit, Oz and Sharon decided that in order to not use any, like you said, anything canned or pre-recorded. Now, this is 95. So remember, sampling and everything wasn't
technology
what it was.
May not have even been there.
John Sinclair was our keyboard player. I know you know who John is. John had tried to fire off a couple of samples, but it's anybody who understands that knows it has its limitations. So by the time I got in the band, Sharon calls and says, look, he really wants you to sing live vocals because we knew some of the same people in common. She called around a couple of studios, Keith Olsen, Max Norman, blah, 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 producers, and my name came up a few times. So the next call was to my house, and she said, look, we're going to be gone for a year. You know, it's this whole world tour. Will you come and do it? And there are very few people that I would go do that for. Honestly, I hate to sound like a jerk to say that, but there are very few, and he's one of them. And I said, you know, come on, when am I not going to do that? Yes. A couple of weeks later, I was on a plane to Copenhagen or Stockholm or something like that. I walked in, did the first sound check. You know.
And what are you being asked to do? Are you being asked to cover lead vocals, sing choruses, do everything, be there on mic the whole time? You're told you're not going to be seen. You're in a booth or something in the back?
I wasn't told that initially, but when I got, you know, in country, when I got to camp.
Whatever you do not let this guy be seen.
Look at the guy, he's hideous. Well, they put me behind. If you've ever watched a concert, you see the big sub-bass cabinets off to your left.
You were
or right.
in a bass cabinet?
I was behind them. These are the jokes, kids. I don't dance much. It's radio. Yeah, they put me behind the subs. They built me a little ISO booth and a monitor. You know, they asked me, what do you want to sing through? What do you want to listen through? You know, I was like, I'm easy. Give me
so
50
if Ozzy was having a bad night, are you on the lead vocal the whole time?
No,
or what are you doing?
I was hired as a background vocalist. Ed, did Ozzy know?
Did Ozzy know?
That's not even right. Of course he knew.
Who's this blonde guy in the bass cabinet singing with a microphone?
Who's the blonde geezer?
The blonde geezer.
What's going on here?
Did you have much interaction with Ozzy?
All the time.
You did?
First sound check, okay. I think it was Copenhagen. So I fly in, you know, from Phoenix. 2-3 flights and no sleep, and I go to sleep for a few hours. I have a wake-up call, and a car picks me up on the other side of the world, and I race the arena, and I walk in. They make me a laminate. You know, you take your picture, you know, a little Polaroid back in the day, and put you on a laminate. And I see Ozzy's like, I get a call from Sharon. She says, you don't have to sing the first night if you don't want to. I was like, I kind of know all the songs. I'll do it. It's like, well, okay, but you're here, and it's like an hour before showtime. Just watch the show and enjoy. So I did that. I watched the show, and I enjoyed. All right, Ed, you want breaking news that no one's ever heard before? I didn't even say this in the LA Weekly, I think, interview last year. That was the first time I ever talked about this.
All right, Trunk Nation exclusive. Here we go.
This is serious and no bullshit. I'm backstage. I see Randy Castillo, who I know and love for years anyway. I'm like, hey, what's up, brother? I meet Geezer Butler, who's on the tour at the time. I'm like, what? I'm on stage with half of Black Sabbath. Then I get told I'm not on stage. That's not the joke. All right, that is the joke. But I walk in and they make me a little booth, and I get a call. I get called into production. I pick up a phone, and it's Sharon. She says, I'll paraphrase, Robert, I know we're gonna pay you for the week. I'll pay you double. It turns out everything's gonna work out. Everything's fine. We don't need you, basically, and this is honest to God. I had just flown from Phoenix, St. Louis, LaGuardia, Stockholm, Copenhagen. All in one shot, got off a plane, slept 2 3 hours, woke up. I'm at my first show. She's sending me home. Honest to God. And I said, Sharon, and I'm like, you know, like I said, no sleep, and I have a lot of East Coast attitude on me right now. And I said, Sharon, I just flew all this way. Pay me or not, let me do one gig. If I don't do tonight, I'll watch the show. I'll do exactly as you ask. Let me talk to Oz in the morning. Let me do sound check. If you, honest to God, don't want me, let me know tomorrow. Will you do that? And I didn't get a straight answer from her. I was, okay, well, and I thought I was going home. I hung up the phone. I walk in, and clearly, I'll be dead honest, I'm despondent.
Sure.
And I look and I see Randy. Randy's like, brother, what's going on? I was like, I think I just got the TH, the ticket home. Like, I don't know, am I taking a bus?
I've never heard that before.
Come on.
Is that tour lingo when
Yes.
you fire from a band? The
Yes,
TH.
that is when you've been very, very
Dee
bad on
Snider's
tour.
given people the TH before, I can tell. We're going to ask Dee. In a minute, we're going to get Dee Snider in here. Or maybe Dee's been given the TH. I don't know.
No, come on now. He's admiring the art in the House of Blues. Leave the guy alone. My God. So Randy looks at me and goes, fuck no. And that's a direct quote from, my
The
dear
late
friend,
Randy Castillo, yeah.
Randy Castillo. He walks in, he's like, right now, you and me, we're going to see the boss. I'm like, all right. I walk in, I see Oz, he's like, hey, man. He's like, hey, Randy explains it, because I didn't even know what to say to the guy. First thing out of Ozzy's mouth is, fuck no. Can you stay? I'm like, I'm in, I'm staying. I was like, and exactly what I said. He said, do sound check tomorrow, hang out tonight, enjoy the show. I'll talk to you after. And after, we spoke for a minute, and he said, okay, well, you are here, let's do sound check. We did sound check the next day. We did one song. He looks at me, 2 thumbs up. He goes, you're in. And I'm done. And I was there for the next year.
Amazing. A Year with Ozzy, Behind the Curtain, Robert Mason. That's the title of your book, Behind the Curtain with Ozzy. A Year Behind the Curtain with Ozzy.
Please ignore the man behind
Oh my
the curtain.
God! Well, listen, man. Amazing stories. Robert's history is incredible. Great singer. Check out the Second Cry of Love record. The stuff he's done with Lynch Mob. If you want to pull some YouTube videos, maybe you'll hear him in the Ozzy. You won't see him, but you may hear him a little bit.
I hear there are a few.
I'm sure there are. And, of course, currently fronting Warrant's 2 great records out, and the current one is called Louder, Harder, Faster, which has just come out. Check it out. And always playing somewhere. Warrant is always playing. As a matter of fact, a show in Tulsa you and I are both doing October 22nd. IDL Ballroom has just been announced. And
the Vermont show.
Which is coming up. Shrindom, which is September 16th in Irisburg, Vermont. Robert and I are like on tour together. It's amazing. But in all honesty, whenever we're doing gigs...
Separate hotel rooms, though.
Yes. When I see Warren on the bill, I'm my boy's going to be there. We're going to hang.
If I put the dedication on this 8x10 of yours, will you just sign it no matter what I say?
Yes.
Because I'm having this sucker framed at the in my house.
Right. Whenever you want, I'll
about
sign it. There's you go. That's a deal.